So Sherrone Moore was fired. Sherrone Moore gone. Not the Michigan head coach anymore. And I did a head coaching search video already when we didn't really know a direction on what Michigan was gonna do. But some new names have emerged. And we have a betting favorite now. So let's get straight into that. So the first one that we've actually been hearing a lot today, specifically today, he is currently emerged as a pretty heavily favorite to take this job as Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. So I'm not going to go too in depth on these, but just talk about the names. That's it. Kenny Dillingham at Michigan would be very scary for the entire country. What he's done at Arizona State is very impressive. He came in and fixed a not so great Arizona State program, took them to the college football playoffs last year, almost upset Texas. Probably would have upset Texas if a few calls went differently. Kenny Dillingham came in, he was beating top teams. First off, they were the only team to beat Texas Tech this year. You know, Texas Tech is a monster. They were a monster in the Big Ten or Big 12. Texas Tech was a monster in the Big 12. They've been a monster for the entire country. Kenny Dillingham went in there and beat him with a half healthy quarterback in Sam Levitt. Um, he was going in there beating good teams with a not so great quarterback when Sam Levitt went down. He went in there, he beat teams with Jeff Sims. Kenny Dillingham, he's a player's coach, players love him. But one problem he's had is Arizona State is not that premier of a program. So you're going to lose top talent a good bit. You're going to lose them. He just lost Sam Levitt to the transfer portal. He just lost one of his top O linemen to the transfer portal. You got to think more are going to follow. You're not going to be able to sustain that talent at Arizona State. If you take the job at Michigan, first off, you have a lot more resources. Second, you have one of the more highly touted programs in the entire Big Ten to recruit with. Probably the second biggest job or the best job in the Big Ten. Second best job in the Big Ten, I'm sorry. Um, that's not the case at Arizona State. You go to Michigan, you have Bryce Underwood to work with if Bryce Underwood decides to stay. I've also heard a few things about that where he's kind of exploring his options as well after the firing of Sherrone Moore. But I do think Kenny Dillingham would be a beast at Michigan. I think it would be very scary. If you check the betting odds right now, Kenny Dillingham minus 200 favorite. That happened within the last 2 hours. Kalen Deboer was the favorite for a little bit, which we're going to get into right now. So Kalen Deboer, he's another name you're going to hear a lot. You're going to hear it until Alabama comes out and says we're keeping the guy. Because right now we don't know. If he goes in and loses to Oklahoma again in the first round of the playoffs and they have another four-loss season, there's going to be serious conversation being had over in Tuscaloosa on the future of Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. Because it is already a weird culture fit for a lot of people. However, I think that Kalen DeBoer fits perfectly in the Big Ten. I think he is a Big Ten head coach. He's coached Washington, which is now in the Big Ten. He took Washington to a national championship. First, Michigan's going to have more resources than Washington. You're going to be more comfortable at Michigan than what you are at Alabama, I would assume. I'm not saying that for sure because I don't know what's going on inside Kalen DeBoer's mind. But based off of what we see, and you could say from an outsider perspective, it seems that way. That doesn't mean it is that way, but it seems that way. So, if Alabama loses to Oklahoma again, I would not be shocked if he is let go because Alabama, you're set to a very high standard. He's not quite meeting that standard over Alabama. The only question whether to not fire him at Alabama is who are you going to go out and hire? Because there's really nobody out there. Kiffin's already taken. That's probably who you would have went after. Lane Kiffin's already taken. So do you fire Kalen DeBoer? I don't know, but if they do, I expect Michigan to make a pretty heavy run at it. And that's another one. I think it would be very scary at Michigan. Look at the betting odds there, plus 250. He was actually the favorite earlier, and then Kenny Dillingham emerged as the favorite. Now, Jed Fish, you're also going to hear that, which I'm not going to talk much about that. I do think he is a very realistic option, as well as Jesse Minter, because Jesse Minter also has he's part of the Harbaugh coaching tree, and Jed Fish is another one. He's at Washington right now, and I think he would just be a good fit. And he's probably one of the more realistic sitting coaches that you can go out and get, although he does have a pretty high buyout at Washington. I think he would definitely take the Michigan job, and I think Michigan would definitely take a shot at him. As far as Jesse Minter, looks as of right now, he's probably going to get an NFL job, but I don't know. Again, Bet Online, if you look at Bet Online, that you can't take much from that because you look at the past head coaching searches, nothing on there was very accurate, but you did really get to monitor the trends that would eventually come true. So that's definitely very intriguing that Kenny Dillingham is all of a sudden the pretty heavily favorite at minus 200. So the next one is Joe Brady. I've heard Joe Brady's name for the first time as of today in the Michigan head coaching search. He's the offensive coordinator over at in Buffalo. So he's running a pretty good offense with Josh Allen. He has kind of slacked off a little towards the end of the year. If you look back at his LSU tenure, he helped develop Joe Burrow. He was a part of that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson squad, so he really helped out with that offense pretty massively. And he has mentioned in the past that he don't like the idea of taking a head coaching job in college because of the recruiting. He doesn't like the recruiting, but I do think if Michigan calls, it's going to be tough for him to say no. Although he is another one, he's going to be in the mix for getting an NFL job this season. I know the Giants are looking at him. The Titans are probably going to be looking at him. Really, anybody who opens up in the NFL will be looking at him. So it's tough to say whether he would take the college job over an NFL job. But if you are going to take a college job over the NFL job, Michigan's not a bad option. Not whatsoever, like not at all. So another name that you're going to hear, I wouldn't take too much, I wouldn't take it too serious, is Jon Gruden. Jon Gruden's expressed his interest in wanting to coach again. Um, Michigan seems like a type of school that would just randomly make that move because I don't know. It's just seems like it would fit Michigan. Not saying it would work, but personality wise, just seems like it would fit Michigan for some reason. I don't even know. There's no facts to prove that from my side of things. It just seems like a culture fit. I don't really know. And that's not saying anything bad. I know some people are gonna make some references to that. That's not what I mean at all. But anyway, you're gonna hear this name a lot simply because Dave Portnoy has pushed for it. And as you know, he's a Michigan fan, and he what he says online is going to go viral. So a lot of people are going to take it and run with it. So you will hear Jon Gruden's name, but I'll just go ahead and tell you, don't take it too serious because it's most likely not happening. Maybe they do call, doesn't mean they're going to hire him. I don't know. But yeah, don't take that one too serious. But that's just some of the new names that have emerged in this cycle. Like I said, we're not going to go too in depth on them as of right now, but we will make another video going more in depth probably later this week after all the Heisman ceremony and stuff tomorrow or today when you're watching this. But yeah, just keep an eye on those names as far as Michigan head coaching search goes. Um, if you somehow did enjoy this video, maybe consider subscribing because I will be doing a lot of more content on this Michigan head coaching search as we figure out more to it. So yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one.